Well, hello, everybody. My name is Derrick Ward, the Director of Public Safety for Enterprise UAS, and I'm happy to have here my friend Bret Kanda from Brinc Drones. Bret, can you tell everybody about your background and what you're doing with Brinc?
Really, thanks for having me, Derrick. I'm excited to be here. So my name is Bret Kanda. I am the VP of Sales and Marketing here at Brinc Drones. We have an interesting background to our company, and I think it's only appropriate that I start with our founder and CEO, Blake Resnick. Blake was born and raised here in Las Vegas. Bit of a child prodigy. He graduated high school when he was 13. He went to Northwestern School of Engineering when he was 14. Left after a few semesters because he didn't feel that it was for him, and went and interned at McLaren Auto in London, Tesla, then at DJI. So in parallel, he started this company. And actually the first product that Blake built is sitting right behind me here. And his original model that he wanted to deploy was large scale border security. So when he was building this product, this is back when the physical border wall was being built along our southern border. And he thought that he had a better way of doing that. And basically, he wanted to put large scale base stations with drones that provide 24/7 surveillance, mesh networks, everything that you would need to be able to accurately and properly surveil the border. Now, we all know that the FAA regulations behind multi-aircraft operations and beyond visual line of sight, and all of the regulatory hurdles that we've now come to understand in the drone industry were hurdles that he couldn't get over. Anybody can get over, frankly, at this point. So at about the same time, the October 1st shootings happened at the Mandalay Bay. So that event affected Blake professionally, personally, and that was his inspiration to pivot and start building a different product. So Blake cold called the Las Vegas SWAT team, said that he thought he could build a product that would have helped them on that night. And so over the course of about a 6-month period, Blake went on about 20 to 25 call outs with the SWAT team. He would build a base prototype of the Lemur, bring it out to the field, have the guys give him feedback, go back to the garage, fix it, and do that over and over 20 to 25 times. So over the course of about an 8-month period, Blake built the Lemur, and the product has now been on the market for about 8 months, 9 months maybe. And so in October of 2020, Blake raised an initial round of fundraising, and we've recently closed another round of financing, and we went from a headcount of 3 up to about 35, which is where we are today. So the product that we've built that you see here is called the Lemur. It is built for tactical operations, but also has some usefulness in different verticals, as Derrick's going to go over here today. But yeah, we're a fast-growing startup company. We're based in Las Vegas, Nevada. We manufacture everything here in the U.S., and we're excited to be working with a company like DSLRPros and getting our product out into the public safety market and specifically the tactical market.
Yeah, I think the background that you just described, Bret, is unique, and it's awesome to hear the concerns and the interest of the CEO of the company actually wanting to go in side by side with a SWAT team and figure out exactly what it is they need to be able to develop this type of technology to do exactly what it is that it does. So what makes this drone so interesting is its capability and how far it can reach without losing any transmission or signal. Let's talk a little bit about the connectivity and how far this drone can go.
I think you bring up a good point there, Derrick. Blake's engineering philosophy is to start with the customer and the problem and work backwards, as opposed to building something and having to change it to meet customers' requirements. So every feature that we have built into the Lemur came from actual SWAT operators' mouths and their ideas and their feedback from seeing it in the field and seeing that, hey, there's not really a lot out there for indoor tactical operations. And so everything from the two-way communication capability to the battery technology to the no GPS, everything was built for indoor tactical operations. And I think that Blake did an incredibly thoughtful job in engineering the Lemur to getting it to a product where it's really just a tool, right? It's a purpose-built tool that needs to be highly reliable, highly redundant, And so, yeah, one of the most important parts of our technology is signal penetration. So the typical operation with the Lemur, the operator is going to be about a block away. So they can be safely located in a Bearcat. They can be safely located in their truck, in what we call in the aviation world a sterile cockpit, right? Where he's totally, doesn't have any distractions and he's able to fully concentrate on the mission at hand. So operating from about a block away, you are never going to lose command and control signal. You are never going to lose video signal. But we also sell an accessory box. Well, that's actually the wrong term because we sell an accessory kit, but a communication box that does two things. It helps extend your video, your command and control signal, and it also allows you to distribute video feed to anywhere in the world. So you're able to log in via browser and watch the video feed from the Lemur in real time anywhere you have internet in a browser. So that also allows you to operate from about 3 blocks away. We've done pretty significant testing in very, very urban environments, very dense RF, signal areas. And one of the most important parts is making sure that the operator's in a safe place and never being able to lose eyes and ears when they're on a mission. So really unique capability that the Lemur has to be able to operate at really far distances, which is different than anything else in the drone market today.
Yeah, so it's got a lot of unique capabilities that are a little different than a lot of other drones out there in the market. Some of the payloads we'll be talking about also. But what really is also impressive is how rugged this drone is for an indoor drone. I've seen the drone bouncing off walls and hitting items and still able to fly. And even if the drone goes down, it has what they call, Brinc calls turtle mode. We're able to flip a switch, the drone pops back up on its stomach and is able to continue the mission. So that's pretty impressive in itself. What I want to talk about, Bret, and have you talk about a little bit is the fact that we don't need GPS to keep this drone going for a long time. We're using a different type of technology, Lidar. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So our system does not have GPS on board, and it does not have user accessible software or firmware. So I'm sure all the drone operators that are going to be watching and listening to this at one point in their life have been grounded due to a software update or a forced firmware update or a geofencing. So all of those situations are not going to happen when you use the Lemur. So all of our flight stability and our operational control, and I actually have one right here in front of me, come from downward facing Lidar. So this black box that you see right here is a Lidar unit. And so this Lidar unit is going to allow you to get altitude hold. And so during our training, the way that we teach our operators to clear rooms, because at the end of the day, the Lemur is a tool to clear rooms and search structures and be able to communicate with whoever is involved, whether that be suspects or fellow officers or fellow public safety operators. So that Lidar is going to allow you to fly into the middle of a room, do a 360-degree turn, and maintain altitude while you do that. It's also going to allow you to scale up a set of stairs without running nose first into that stair. So it's going to give you your altitude hold as you progress up a stairway. So really a unique feature. Most drones on the market that have sense and avoid capabilities are using RGB and optical cameras. We use Lidar.
Yeah, that's awesome technology. Another unique feature is the first person view, the goggles that we have, right? So this is a whole different way of flying. And I got to tell you, Bret, I got experience flying drones, but this was a new one for me. I felt like a baby just starting all over. But it's unique because it gives you that real situational awareness about where you're at and what you're doing. So these officers are able to fly through, and we'll talk about the window breacher, but they're able to go through these windows into a building, into a structure, down a hallway, into a room, and actually get that situational awareness, transferring that information to the pilot himself. So really incredible. You want to talk a little bit about the first person view, and also tell me some of the stories that the SWAT teams have been actually coming that they've used this drone in, some of the operations they've done.
Yeah, sure. So the flying kind of experience of the Lemurs is so different than a GPS-based outdoor system because as a drone operator, generally speaking, when you're outdoors flying, the worst thing in the world and the last thing you want to do is crash. Now, with our system, that's not necessarily the case. This is a super robust carbon fiber nylon reinforced body. So we've built this system to be able to take a beating. You are going to crash. And the reason that we fly FPV, and you can kind of see our camera module here, we do not have a 2-axis or a 3-axis gimbal, and that's for a couple reasons. Number one is sensitivity. Gimbals are very sensitive, and gimbals also take firmware updates. So we decided to take that part out of the equation and just have an FPV-based mount. So today, we include FPV goggles in every kit, and that allows the operator to really get immersed in the mission. Moving forward, we are in development of our own proprietary hand controller, which will have a 7-inch built-in monitor. And then at that point, the operator will have the option to either fly via goggles or fly via the hand controller. So flying FPV is something that really takes the experience of a SWAT operator or a tactical operator entering a room, and it now puts them in that environment using the drone. Not to mention our command and control signal as well as our video signal are both encrypted. So it allows us to, you see these two pieces here on the FPV headset. You're not going to have your video signal, your command and control signal hacked using our technology in our system. So the FPV goggles are an important way to be able to use the system with an FPV type camera as opposed to something that's gimbalized. And so that's really the reason that we did that. And again, durability is huge. We think that durability of the system and the camera optics are more important than having a 2-axis gimbal on board the system. So some use case and real life situations where the Lemur was used. We actually had a customer call us last week that they were using the Lemur on a mission where the guy had a shotgun. He had barricaded himself. He had a shotgun. They were using an outdoor system to do kind of surveillance of the outside and perimeter of the building or the home. They flew the Lemur indoors, and the Lemur was right outside of the door. And as soon as that suspect heard the Lemur, he started shooting. So, if these type of people are going to shoot at a drone, they're likely going to shoot at a police officer. So this is a situation where the guy offloaded a few rounds and he got his magazine got jammed. So in that situation, SWAT was able to make entry and get the guy because he had fired off all of those rounds, right? Yeah. And then everything got jammed up. So just kind of the most recent situation why you would use this technology. And it's a tool that is built for de-escalation. It's built for good. It's a tool to help clear rooms. That is at its essence why we've built this technology, is to replace the front of the stack of a SWAT team who traditionally would have knocked down the door, made entry, had to clear every room physically and really put himself in harm's way, right? Now you're able to do that exact same mission, but just using technology and using the Lemur and really keeping people safe, right? That's the goal with our company, with our technology, is using the Lemur to keep both police officers and public safety and first responders safe, and also to keep suspects safe, both sides of the aisle. So again, that's just the most recent story that we've heard, but there are countless others, Derrick.
Yeah, I was actually speaking when I was down there with you guys training. I was speaking to one of your trainers who happened to be one of the SWAT commanders for Las Vegas SWAT team. And he was telling me a lot of these stories of how his buddies, a lot of them have gotten shot from going in, clearing rooms in these hallways. And to have this drone and the capability to be able to drive it down a hallway or go and clear a room, it's taking his guys out of harm's way. And if nothing else, just like the demonstration or the example you used, it's also giving the guy's position away. When a guy reacts to the drone, immediately now the SWAT team knows where this guy is. So, there's so many different use cases and so many positive ways that this can save lives that it's kind of exciting to be a part of it.
You were able to spend quite a bit of time with Kevin, and an interesting use case, and really the inspiration behind the product is October 1st. When that the Mandalay Bay shootings, for everyone who doesn't, we live in Las Vegas, we refer to it as October 1st, but the Mandalay Bay Route 91 shooting, That was a situation where they didn't know where it was coming from. Our director of training was the assistant team leader that night, and they had to manually, physically clear 60 some odd stories of hotel rooms, right? They didn't have anything that could scale up the front of the building and make entry into that window. So the amount of time that they spent going up and down stairwells, going up and down elevators, going in and out of rooms is a long time, really long time. And now if they had had a force multiplier like the Lemur and been able to go and clear rooms using that technology, it probably would have saved quite a few people's lives that night.
Well, absolutely. Well, also unique to the Lemur is the interchangeable payloads. I mean, you know, most drones will take one type of camera, one type of payload, and then you got to get another, you know, piece of hardware if you're going to fly a different piece of payload. So I think the payloads that are this thing's capable of carrying are very, very interesting and actually earth-shattering, because I want to talk about the glass breaker. I mean, that's what I get excited about, right? Because I've never seen a drone that can do this, and I actually got to fly it and watch this drone break glass. So to be able to go and make entry into a building or even a vehicle, you know, during a chase or whatever else is going to be ground changing also. You want to talk a little bit about the and tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Yeah. Let's start with the actual optics, right? The optic system, and like Derrick mentioned, this is an interchangeable payload. This is just a snap in, snap out module. Now, the reason that we built this optics suite is for a purpose, right? Generally speaking, tactical operations are happening in low light situations that are very, very cluttered. So the RGB camera on board the Lemur is a 1080p, 60 frame per second, 170-degree fixed wide angle lens. So as the operator, your field of view is basically from this rod over to this rod. Now you're probably asking, why are those there, right? These two rods right here, if a door is ajar, you are able to use these rods as a battering ram and just use the Lemur to open up that door, right? So that's why that would be your field of view as the operator, these two metal rods to each other. Now on the bottom of the system here is our payload bay. And like Derrick was mentioning, we do sell an accessory kit that has 4 accessories, each one of them being hand screwed into this payload mount here on the bottom of the system with a direct plug-in. So very, very easy to use, all controlled via the controller. And so one of the accessories that we sell is a floodlight attachment. So this is to help lighten up a scene. It has a number of different purposes, but this attaches to the bottom of the system, lights up the area. We have a payload dropper. I think this is really cool. So it's a basic servo arm here that you can see pops in and out, and all you need is a basic zip tie. So whatever you want to drop off up to 1 pound, you would be able to put it in this device, strap it in, and then when you get over it, you just hit a knob and it's going to be able to drop off up to 1 pound. Amazing de-escalation tool. You can drop off a pack of cigarettes. You could drop off half a bottle of water. You can drop off some food, anything to make people feel more comfortable and to de-escalate a situation. And then like you mentioned, Derrick, everybody's kind of favorite, this is our glass breaker. So this is meant for multiple reasons. This can be used as a breaching tool, but Derrick, as a fighter fire, how important is it to be able to break glass sometimes and you know, allow a burning building or an area where smoke is starting to billow, allow that to exit the structure via glass, right? It's just a useful tool that sticks out right in front of the Lemur, spins, and will ultimately break. Well, it works best on tempered glass. We suggest that operators use this on tempered glass. That shatters pretty easily, but a really unique feature that is just another testament to the engineering philosophy of seeing problems that are happening in the field and then building a tool to help fix those problems. So you can see here in the video, it's a pretty cool little piece of technology that we have on our system.
And the way they train on that, and it's very specific how these guys are trained to actually break a window. Yeah. But you go to the top of the glass so all that glass is not falling on the Lemur. If it were to fall on the Lemur and the Lemur falls on its back, again, you have turtle mode, so you can get it back up and back into the operation. So that's really, you know, awesome technology. And like you mentioned earlier, for the fire side, you know, there are those times when we have a structure fire and we need to ventilate that that
Right.
house or that building. And sometimes all we need to do is open up a window. So if it's on the second floor, you know, what better way is there to get a drone up there quickly and ventilate that window so you can get
Yeah.
some of that preheated gases and smoke out of the building.
Yeah, it's
Now,
exactly
another
right.
great thing I like about this drone, it's one of the only drones I've ever seen, maybe the only drone that has two-way communication. So now you can communicate with a suspect, you can get two-way communication, you can down talk or downplay a scenario so you can talk him out of doing something that he may be doing without putting people in harm's risk or harm's way. Go ahead and talk about that, Brett.
So these two little silver dollars that you see on the front are very, very sensitive microphones. And this right here is a loudspeaker. So the Lemur is a flying cell phone in every way. Each system comes with its own unique cell phone number, just the way that you would make any other phone call. You would call into the Lemur, it would ring twice, and you now have two-way communication. Unbelievably useful tool for a negotiator to see. Let's take another vertical, right? Like fire or search and rescue, to hear somebody, right, calling out for help. This is a tool that's going to allow you to do that and have communication. And you know, when it comes to the tactical world, it's de-escalation and being able to communicate with a suspect. In search and rescue, it's being able to communicate and see if anybody's there. Fire, same thing, right? I don't believe there's any other drone on the market that has two-way communication. Other systems have one-way, but it's a very, very useful tool for so many different use cases, and one that we're really proud of.
Yeah, that's awesome. And your payload delivery device, I want to talk about a story that I heard about a year ago where this guy was going to commit suicide and he was in a house, and I was working with this law enforcement or this police team, and they were telling me about this story where they had to talk this guy out because he wanted to kill himself. Mm-hmm. And the guy had a cell phone, and he basically said, when my battery's going out, when this thing's dead, I'm checking out. I'm going to, you know, kill myself. So they were trying to figure out what they were going to do. Where they were able to actually bring a phone over to the guy that had fully charged battery and continue the conversation with him to talk him out of suicide. So that's just a case they had before they ever had the, you know, dropping release system that you have on the Brinc. Yeah. But these are the kind of scenarios, though, that can be used on an ongoing basis using the payload delivery system and some of these other attachments that they use.
Well, that's the beauty, Derrick. You wouldn't even need a cell phone, right? The Lemur is your cell phone. So, you know, that, you know, kind of that statement there, Derrick, leads into the battery technology, right? Whereas we're not using lithium polymer, we're using a lithium ion chemistry, so it's more efficient. And what our battery allows you to do is enter perch mode. So if you do have a situation like Derrick is mentioning, or if you have a barricade situation, or one where you just need to land the drone and sit there with eyes and ears for a while, you would be able to land our system, kill the motors, and be able to sit there for up to 10 hours, just listening and watching what's going on. So in something like that, you'd be able to land the system and start to have a really, you know, meaningful two-way conversation. The loudspeaker is very, very loud, and the microphones are very sensitive. So you're not going to have an issue of them not hearing you and or not being able to hear them.
Yeah. You know, Brett, one of the questions I've been asked for the last several years is, what is public safety looking for when they have a drone, when they're using an unmanned aircraft system? What is it they want? What are they looking for? And there's two things that come to mind. One is something that's small enough to carry around with you, and two, to be able to deploy it quickly. And I wouldn't believe it unless I did it, but I was able to deploy the drone, the Lemur, out of the box and have it in the air in 45 seconds. That's unheard of, but that's the way it's designed. There's not a lot to it when it comes to firing up the motors, having the controller ready, having the goggles on. You get those things out of the box, and that's one of the things that Brinc, the trainers over there at your facility, they pride themselves on, and it's one of the first things they train their students on, is how to get this thing up, running, and ready to rock in less than 60 seconds. And I couldn't have believed it until I'd seen it, and then I did it. So pretty awesome.
Sure. And that goes again back to the thoughtfulness of the product, right? These are high stress, high-paced environments that these guys are operating in, and anything that can take the guessing game out, make things quicker, but also be a tool to slow things down, right? Now, the ability to open the case, plug the battery in. And by the way, when you plug the battery into our system, the drone is automatically recording and the drone is automatically on. So in high stress environments, forgetting to hit record is a real problem. So we take that guessing game out of the equation. Battery in, you're recording, you're good to go, you're up, you're flying. Now, once you're in the air, this is a tool to slow things down. So we teach pace, 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 speed, speed, speed. But then when you get into the air and you're trying to make entry into a structure and you're flying, you want to slow things down. So it's kind of a cool, con-op, I guess is the right word, to see how, hey, during your training, you're going to be able to be in the air, open the case to in the air in 45 seconds to a minute. But then when you want to get in there, you want to take your time, right? And you want to take it nice and slow, because again, the Lemur, you can crash. It's fine to crash. It's no problem. That's kind of the beauty of the system, right? Because otherwise you'd be really worried about hitting a wall. You'd be really worried about hitting anything. But with our system, go ahead and bump that wall. And we get the question a lot, why don't you guys build more autonomy into it? Well, these are really tight spaces. Most drones that have these really advanced autonomy features and sense and avoid features are using optical cameras. Optical cameras don't work well in blacked out situations or dark situations. So, and again, we want you to be able to crash. If we had sense and avoid, you wouldn't be able to push open a door that's ajar, right? You wouldn't be able to get close enough to glass to be able to break glass. All of these different use cases for tactical operators and first responders, we took those into consideration when building the technology. So that kind of is a long way of answering the question.
Yeah, the Brinc is actually built to crash. It's built to be able to survive a crash. And the other things I've noticed is sometimes there'll be those times when you break a prop or something breaks on the Lemur, but the whole system is designed and set up so that the pilot can put it back into service within minutes, if not a minute. I mean, I was able to replace props. I was being able to make adjustments and get the thing back up in the air in no time whenever it crashed. If something did break, many times it would crash and nothing would break. And that's just the way it's designed. Which leads me into training with this aircraft, this drone. Like I said in the beginning of this, when we were talking, I felt like, you know what, it was my first time when I got this thing. And I was actually flying it line of sight, not using the goggles the first time I flew it. So, but it was unique and different. You know, I've flown drones in ADI mode, but this drone just seemed to handle different. But what I liked, and you can elaborate a little bit more on it, what I liked is the way that Brinc had provided those 3 days of training and what they consisted of. I mean, they started from the very beginning, from the equipment, talking about what the equipment was, what the software was, how to do maintenance on it, how to put it together, how to change props, and then get into the battery maintenance and how the batteries would work. And then we got into the simulators. We started using simulators to show us how we would be flying this thing, how we would be flying it in the first-person view. And then we were flying the littler drones with the goggles on using first-person view to kind of get used to that. So they did a really good job of going from the beginning of, baby steps into full-fledged flying this drone through windows and doorways and in the vehicles and stuff like that, which we were able to do within 3 days. But I got to say, even after those 3 days are over, it's really important that because of this technology and the type of drone that it is, you continue to fly it, you continue to get used to how it operates, and you just like you would with any other tool. Like you said in the beginning, we have to be proficient with the tools that we're using when it comes to public safety and what we do. This is another tool that's in the toolbox. It's going to save lives and property. So it's important that we train appropriately on it and we know what that training looks like. So you want to talk a little bit about what Brinc does for their training and then maybe the new facility they're designing for training in the future also?
Happy to. So it kind of goes back to the difference of flying a Lemur versus an outdoor GPS-based system. When you fly outdoors, if you're doing a mapping mission, you could go take a nap while you're doing it, right? If you're doing an ISR mission, you can pretty much stay at a hover and watch what's going on. This system doesn't work that way. When you need to make quick maneuvers, when you need to enter a really small area, it all goes back to the flight experience, right? Just being very different than an outdoor GPS-based system. And we require training. So anybody who buys a Lemur is required to do a 3-day training. We have a very robust and intense curriculum that is train the trainer. So even with guys like Derrick, right? Derrick, I don't even know how many hours you have on systems, but it's a lot, right? And even if you have a lot of hours on an outdoor system, it doesn't necessarily translate over into flying the Lemur. So
Right.
we feel responsible for the operator's success, and that's why we require a training. It's a crawl, walk, run philosophy to where if you don't have as much experience on the sticks, you're going to start out on a simulator. If you do have some experience, you're going to go to a smaller FPV type drone. And then when you get to the Lemur, you're going to be like, oh, this is really actually pretty easy. This feels good. And so we can kind of tackle that in a day and a half. And then our training is all real world scenarios and flight profiles that you would be doing in the real world, right? Understanding basic maintenance and repair on the system, because you are absolutely going to break props. You're absolutely going to break ducts. There are going to be things that break on our system. And that is why we have a spare part and a spare toolkit that comes with every kit, so that you can do in-field repair and not be down. So our training methodology is that it's a crawl, walk, run, to where at the end of day 3, you're going to feel very confident on the Lemur, but hey, your work's not done there. When you get home, we suggest you fly 3 times a week, because this does take stick proficiency and piloting skills. And we also realize that first responders, tactical operators, public safety are very, very used to training. It is uncommon to give them a piece of technology where you don't ask them to be trained on it, right? So this really just kind of falls into the everyday work of guys like Derrick and tactical operators, that training is a part of their life, and it's something that they're very, very used to. But we also make it really intense because we've built a product that, you know, is absolutely mission critical in certain situations. And if you don't feel confident and proficient in operating the system when you're out on a mission, we take that responsibility as the manufacturer. So we have a great training program. We have a great facility here in Las Vegas. We are building out a world-class indoor training facility that will have everything that you would experience in the real world when it comes to operating the Lemur. So we have an amazing director of training who retired from 30 years on the force, 10 years as an assistant team leader, 10 years purely training. So he's built curriculums. We are always expanding and making ours more efficient, more impactful, and that is something that we take very seriously as our training.
Yeah, Bret, in closing, some of the things I want to bring up, or one of the things I want to bring up, is your team with Brinc. First off, you got some of the best professionals in the industry, including yourself. I've known Bret for a long time, and he's nothing but an expert in this industry, and what he does, I think, is awesome. But you guys have a unique aura about the whole group of guys over at Brinc, and where it is everybody's committed to one purpose. And you got experts in FPV flying, you know, you have experts in all different areas. You're all coming together for one purpose. And you mentioned the trainers at Brinc. They're some of the best I've ever seen when it comes to this kind of technology, and to have the expertise coming directly from Las Vegas SWAT team, and to integrate that experience into your systems is very, very valuable, because now these systems are not just built with drone experts, but also people who are out in the field who are putting their lives on the line on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
That heart and soul is built into this program, and it shows. And so I stand behind you guys and what you've done. I'm a firm believer in this technology. I'm a believer in the Brinc drone, and I'm passionate about what I do. And I'm passionate now of being a part of Brinc and being able to share this technology with others. So,
yeah, we appreciate that, Derrick. And I think it comes from the mission. You know, our mission at the company is protecting people in dangerous situations and saving lives. And I think that Blake, our founder and CEO, has done an amazing job putting that into everything that we do. And so one of the most important aspects of our company is that we listen. And I think that that's a bit unique in the drone industry, to be completely frank. We really do value users' feedback, And I think that the Lemur is a testament to that, right? You know, they said, hey, Blake, it'd be awesome if we could talk to suspects. Okay, well, he built the two-way. Blake, it'd be awesome if we could, you know, flip back over after we crash. Okay, turtle mode. It'd be awesome if we could perch for a long time and have eyes and ears. These are every feature that you see in the technology comes from the customer. So we are absolutely obsessed with customer experience, providing a tool that's going to work reliably. And, you know, we have a lot of people from different walks of life and different engineering disciplines and different backgrounds. And all of those different experiences rolled into one has made our company incredibly fast growing. You know, we're growing every single day. We have new talent joining the company. And again, just a testament to Blake. He's a fantastic founder and CEO and entrepreneur, and one where, you know, he's really focused on changing the world. And that, you know, dedication and vision for the future and how he wants to have an impact on people's lives trickles down throughout the entire company. And it's really easy, Derrick, to be in a position like mine and sell something like this when I know it's the best technology for what it's built for. And I also know that the intentions behind it are absolutely pure. We want to build a technology for good. We are here to build something that's going to keep people safe and protect lives and make, you know, public safety job easier. You guys have a tough job. Being a police officer is a really, really difficult job. Being a first responder is a really difficult job. So anything that we can do technology-wise to make your jobs easier and safer is a mission that we can all get behind.
Yeah, and I think I would like to elaborate on one thing he said, and that's that Brinc listens to the customer. Yeah. And I know that just coming in and training with you guys. Every time I got done with training, I got nothing but questions about what can we do better? How'd you like the training? What do you think of the drone? You know, all these questions. You could tell they were passionate about continuing the goal that they have already set before themselves to actually push and continue to do more. And I can tell by being around the people from Brinc that their vision is not just here. They're actually stretching. They got something out coming up. I mean, it's like just they're continuing to live and develop what's going on with this drone. Yeah. So anyway, Bret, we've hit on a lot of different things. I think some of the most important things. Is there anything else that we missed that we need to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't think so. I think we hit on most of the parts of the technology. And just to emphasize what Derrick said there, we are a company that listens. We do value customers' feedback. We do value the drone industry, right? And we've had an industry that's been dominated by one company, and that comes with both positives and negatives. And we have aspirations to be one of the largest drone manufacturers in the world, and to build tools that make people's lives better. So, you know, we are always happy to listen to negative feedback, positive feedback, get good ideas from people that are out there operating. That's a really important part of what we do. So just to emphasize, if anybody has feedback, you can always reach out to me directly. Happy to chat. And so I appreciate you, Derrick, the DSLRPros team, and the distributors and resellers around the country that have gotten on our side and believe in our product, because we think it is a product that is going to make a difference in people's lives. So thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it, Derrick, and I'm sure we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. I really appreciate your time, and it's good seeing you again, even if we're doing it on our website. So,
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.